Hi again, here we are to continue talking about our UI control. And here I am in Storyboard, and you can see that I've got the arc happening there, right? And we saw in the last one, like if we make the size of the box kind of funny, then the thing doesn't fit in there, right? So what I'd like to suggest is that we're gonna, revisit our drawing code. And what we want to do is place the circle in the center of the box, figure out the width and the height, and then figure out whichever one is smaller, and then we'll make the radius based on that. Okay? So that way the radius will be the smallest dimension, and then, it'll always fit in there. So it'll fit, kind of like this. If we're narrower this way, it'll get smaller, but it'll also do that if we, if it's narrower in the vertical, right? Okay? So let's go back to our code now. So I'm going to go to circle path class, and then I'll find the setup method. And if we look at this, our gradient layer fills the frame. So, if we set the frame of the gradient layer to bounds, then it covers the entire view. So that's taken care of, right? As I scroll down a little ways, when I get to this path part here, and we draw our path inside the view, here we're drawing to the center, like that's going to be our center point, right? Because we're going to say arc with center. C is our center, right? So that's good. That'll be in the middle. But I set the radius here to cx minus 40. So cx is the halfway point of the width. But, if the width is wider than the height, then our circle is too big, right? It gets cut off at the top and bottom. So what we'll want to do is calculate the width, and based on whichever is higher, cx or cy. Okay, so, or actually not the width but the radius, right? So let's say let radius equal, let's do what would it be? Let's do cx is less than cy, and if that's the case, then the radius will be the cx. If not, it'll be the cy, right? So you want the smallest, okay? And then we can put our cx here, or our radius, right? So that's the radius. Now, this is still not going to be quite right, because the way that Xcode is going to draw this, I got to wait for this to update here, right? It's going to draw, like if this, let me draw this, this square here. It's 204 by 93. Let's make it 200 by 200, right? And what you'll see is that the line is, like the stroke here is halfway off the edge. So when we draw the path, the edge of the path goes right up to the edge of the box, but the stroke straddles the path. So half of it's outside the path and half of it's inside the path. So we need to make our path a little bit smaller than the radius. Okay, so essentially it has to be half the thickness of the line smaller. Okay, so let's give that a try. So what we'll do is we'll go to circle path here, and we've got our radius, and so we're going to calculate the value there. Now I did it kind of with an if statement here, so maybe I'll just make this a var, and then we'll say, radius minus equals, and I used, a line width of 10. So we should probably maybe have this as a variable. Let's actually put that up here. Let's call it let's call it stroke width, right? Let's make it equal to let's make it 10 like we did before, and then we can take the stroke width and put it down here. And then what we want to do is we want to take half of our stroke width and subtract it from the radius, right? So we'll save that, and then it's going to say, sorry, you can't do that because this is not a CG float. So I'll have to declare this as a CG float. And I think that'll fix it, right? Okay, great. So let's go back to storyboard now. Hey, now we don't have to rebuild our thing with Xcode every time, right? It's kind of an improvement. Like think about it this way. By using IB Designable in this way and setting things up in storyboard, we're increasing our workflow, right? We're speeding up our workflow, okay? And then if we make components like this and we work with a team of people, we're speeding up their workflow, right? So that's kind of why we want to do this, right? So anyway, so we've got this guy and he fits in there just perfectly, right? So let's talk about another thing. Maybe I'll save this for the next video, right? But what I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to set the thickness of the line in storyboard, right? So in here, I'd like an option where I can set the thickness of the line so that way I can adjust it. I don't always have to go back to code here. And then, think about that. That'll make this circle path class a lot more useful because I can just have one class. You don't always have to edit this class in order to change the thickness of the line, right? Like I could reuse this thing several times in the same project and it could show circles of different sizes with different line thicknesses, right? Maybe we can set the color too, right? So anyway, so we'll do that in the next video. Okay, so thanks for watching.